Not all cats approach just anyone, and it's not by chance. Have you ever noticed that cats seem to choose certain people, even the quietest ones around? It's not magic, nor is it favoritism. It's pure feline behavior. Today, we're going to discover why some humans generate calm, trust, and security in cats, even without trying. Let's begin. Block 1. Cats don't seek attention, they seek security. Unlike other social animals, cats don't approach the loudest person or the one who calls to them the most. Their number one priority isn't attention, it's security. From an evolutionary perspective, the cat is a small predator that can also become prey. This makes them extremely cautious. Before approaching a person, they analyze whether their presence represents a threat or a refuge. Cats observe body tone, sudden movements, and emotional intensity. A person who moves quickly, invades their space, or tries to touch them immediately can cause stress, even if their intentions are good. On the other hand, a person who moves calmly, who doesn't invade their space, who doesn't demand contact, is much more appealing to a cat. Not because they are special, but because they convey something fundamental: predictability. For a cat, knowing what to expect is reassurance, and reassurance is trust. That's why many cats approach the person who seems to ignore them, not because they don't care, but because that person isn't pressuring them. And for a cat, that's a profound form of respect. Block 2. The silent language cats do understand. Cats don't interpret our words the way humans do. They communicate primarily through body language, posture, rhythm, and microsignals. A tense body feels threatening. Heavy breathing is perceived as alarm. A fixed, direct gaze can be interpreted as a challenge. In contrast, a relaxed posture, slow movements, and a gentle gaze create a safe environment. Even something as simple as slightly turning your body instead of facing them directly can make all the difference. Cats are experts at reading these details because their survival depends on it. That's why, without you noticing, they are reading your emotional state all the time. When a cat approaches someone who is calm, it's not because that person is doing anything special, but because they aren't doing anything to make the cat uncomfortable. This also explains why many cats approach people who are sitting, calm, or silent. For them, that body language says, there's no danger here, and when a cat feels safe, the bond begins to form on its own. Block 3. Why cats approach emotionally stable people. Cats are extremely sensitive to the emotional charge of their environment. Although they don't understand our worries, they do perceive when a person is anxious, agitated, or emotionally overwhelmed. A person who exudes emotional calm tends to have gentler movements, more regular breathing, and less impulsive reactions. All of this is interpreted by the cat as stability. It's not about not feeling emotions. It's about how we manage them. Cats prefer to be around people who don't overreact, who don't chase them, and who don't get frustrated if contact doesn't happen immediately. This emotional regulation creates a predictable environment, and that reduces feline stress. From an animal welfare perspective, this is key. A cat that feels emotionally safe shows fewer defensive behaviors, less avoidance, and more affiliative behaviors, such as sitting nearby or staying in the same room. That's why, when a cat approaches you, it's often responding to how you feel inside, not what you do on the outside. Block 4. Patience as a bridge to trust. With cats, nothing can be forced. Trust isn't demanded, it's built. This is one of the most important lessons cats teach us. They move at their own pace. One day they approach, another day they move away, and that doesn't mean rejection, it means evaluation. People who understand this don't interpret distance as a lack of affection. They understand that the cat is processing, observing, deciding. Patience reduces pressure, and when the pressure disappears, trust blossoms. A cat that feels its timing is respected is a cat that relaxes, and a relaxed cat is a cat that, sooner or later, approaches. This dynamic is also healthy for humans. It teaches us that true affection doesn't need urgency, that a deep bond isn't born from insistence, but from mutual respect. That's why many people who connect well with cats also build healthier and more balanced human relationships. Block 5. Cats, boundaries, and healthy relationships. Cats are masters of clear boundaries. When they want contact, they approach. When they don't, they withdraw. And they don't do this out of whim, but rather through self-regulation. People who live well with cats learn something fundamental. Not every no is rejection, and not every space is emotional distance. Sometimes it's simply a need for balance. Respecting a cat's boundaries means not invading, not chasing, not punishing its independence. And interestingly, this respect strengthens the bond. From the perspective of well-being psychology, this is a model of a healthy relationship: closeness without control, affection without possession. Those who feel comfortable with this dynamic tend to value human relationships where autonomy, trust, and respect exist. They don't seek to dominate or be dominated. They seek to share. Cats remind us that healthy love doesn't suffocate, it accompanies. Block 6. It's not introversion, it's authenticity. There's a myth that only introverted people love cats, but the reality is quite different. There are extroverted, sociable, and expressive people who connect deeply with cats. What they have in common isn't personality, but emotional authenticity. Cats don't respond to social masks. They don't care if you're funny, successful, or charismatic. They respond to the consistency between what you feel and what you project. An authentic person doesn't act to please. They are present. And that presence is felt. That's why cats tend to gravitate towards people who aren't trying to impress. People who are simply themselves. This authenticity builds trust because there's no tension or hidden agenda. For a cat, that's clarity, and clarity is calm. Block 7. The psychology of people who love cats. The psychology of people who love cats has a special quality. It is quiet yet profound. Those who love cats often possess a strength that doesn't need to be displayed. They don't seek to impose themselves. They don't need to dominate their surroundings or be the center of attention. Their security doesn't come from noise, but from inner coherence. They are people who have learned to inhabit silence without feeling empty, and to be alone without feeling lonely. Psychologically, this is associated with a high capacity for emotional self-regulation. They know how to manage their internal states, they tolerate uncertainty, and they don't interpret distance as abandonment. That's why they connect so well with cats, animals that approach and move away according to their own rhythms. People who love cats tend to value authenticity over appearances. They prefer real bonds, even if few, to superficial relationships. They don't force intimacy, they allow it. They don't demand affection, they nurture it. They also tend to have a subtle, understated empathy. Not the loud kind, but an empathy that observes, that intuits, that accompanies without intruding. They are people who understand that loving isn't always about doing more, but about knowing when to be present and when to give space. Perhaps that's why cats feel safe with them, because they recognize something familiar in their calm. A way of loving that doesn't suffocate, that doesn't pursue, that simply is. And that way of loving, even if it's not always visible, is profoundly valuable. If a cat has ever approached you unexpectedly, if you feel that some cats trust you almost instantly, this video is for you. In the video, what your cat is actually telling you when they rub against you. You'll discover how your body language, your energy, and even simple details like your posture or your scent can make cats feel safe around you. You'll learn why to avoid staring, how calmness builds trust, and why cats perceive something in you that others don't. If you love cats and want to better understand that silent connection, watch this video. You'll most likely recognize yourself in it. Has a cat ever approached you without you calling it? Have you ever felt that a cat chose you, even when you did nothing to attract it? When a cat chooses you, something profound happens. The cat doesn't belong to you. It accompanies you because it wants to. That bond isn't automatic or guaranteed. It's built slowly, with respect and emotional consistency. When it finally happens, it feels deeply validating. For many people, that moment awakens a feeling of being seen, accepted, and chosen. Not for what they do, but for who they are. Perhaps that's why the bond with cats is so healing. They remind us that our quiet way of loving is also valid, that not all affection needs fanfare. That presence can be enough. If a cat has ever chosen you, remember this: for it, you are a safe place, and that says something very beautiful about you.